it should be as per our commitment in Kigali, means it should be natural or nature friendly, or it should be with very low GWP, whichever is practical and commercially available. So now onwards, even though our commitment in Kigali starts a bit late, like from 28 and 32 is our first reduction, but the kind of choices which industry has to make and policymakers and ministries have to take, it is being shaped by what has been agreed at Kigali. So you will see that whatever under HPMP2 plan for conversion from HCFC 22 ODS in air conditioning, the proposal has been submitted for HFC 32 and not 410A. Though 410A was not being entertained by EXCOM, but I see a definite willingness among manufacturers of air conditioning to move towards low GWP thing. Government is coming up with policies in different sectors. Like you may be aware, one of the methods of pushing good or nature-friendly refrigerant is through mass procurement, bulk procurement we call. EESL, the organization which carried out recently a bulk procurement of 100,000 air conditioners, they got a price of around 35,000 rupees per unit, and it is lower for a efficiency of 5.2. In that bid, there were two parameters. One was energy efficiency, EER, which was kept as minimum 5.2, and the other criteria, other objective was to push down the prices of the units in Indian market, because as per our experts' opinion and analysis, still in India the prices of air conditioners are higher than the other markets. So the idea is to go for energy efficient air conditioners and if possible reduce the prices to increase its spread and affordability. And this procurement has taken us to that direction. We were discussing that should we put the condition of going for HFC 32 or low GWP refrigerants, but at this point of time it was decided that it is better to focus on one thing, and that is energy efficiency. Friends, we value the EU-India cooperation in different sectors, especially related to climate and energy. We have a lot to learn from our friends from EU, because as we know and accept that Europe has been very environment friendly and very conscious on these things. They have been pioneer in developing many environment friendly technologies. This HFO 123 for YF in mobile air conditioning sector has also come up in Europe first, and they are in the driver's seat, they are driving it. India will learn from them a lot on these experiences. Friends, on this occasion, once again, I welcome all the delegates and express my thanks and gratitude on behalf of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change to His Excellency, Mr. Thomas. And once again, I welcome you all and hope that this day-long negotiation will give us good input for shaping out this strategy for implementation of our commitments. Thank you and welcome once again. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Now, may I invite Ms. Seema Arora, Executive Director, CII-ITC Center of Excellence for Sustainable Development, to propose vote of thanks.
Good morning, dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to thank you all for joining us today for this very interesting India-EU Green Cooling Conference, which, as was pointed out, is a follow-up to the earlier Kigali Amendment to Montreal Protocol, which India and the other parts of the world successfully agreed to in October. I'd first like to begin by thanking the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change, especially our Joint Secretary, Mr. M.K. Singh, and also the Joint Director, Dr. Amit Love, who's here, for their extremely useful support all through the process. In fact, I would like to put on record from industry the kind of extensive consultation that the ministry had so that India could actually present a balanced yet ambitious strategy which would meet both the domestic and the international requirements. That's by no means a feat which can be mentioned without in the passing. So I really want to put it on record. And today also, as Mr. M.K. Singh really pointed out, the next step for India is to really now work on the implementation. And this first step is today, where we are meeting today with the European Union and the delegates from the European Union who have kindly come in. And I would like to thank them now, led by the Ambassador. Thank you, Excellency, and the members of the European Union who are here today. We really value this partnership, as the Joint Secretary also mentioned. I think European Union has always provided a huge amount of help in terms of capacity building, in terms of technological transfer, and this is what would be required by India and the rest of the world to be able to do justice to the Kigali Amendments. Thank you very much for doing that, and we look forward to taking this partnership forward. Of course, I want to thank my industry colleagues, led today by Mr. Krishan Sachdev, who has very ably articulated how Indian industry has kept pace, not only with the international developments, but in some cases maybe even set a benchmark. And I think that's where we are very proud as CII, that both Rama, Regma, and other members of CII have really taken the leadership role. And we look forward that they continue to take this leadership role as we implement the Kigali Amendment as well. I would also like to thank all the delegates present here, including people from the academics who will play increasingly important role, because without research and development, I think we will not be able to do this. I do think there are going to be two very important levers as we go forward. One would be technology, another would be policy, which already Mr. Singh has mentioned, that from now on the policy decisions that the government takes would be keeping in mind what was agreed to in Kigali. And he gave a wonderful example of the bulk procurement, and I think that can set a trend for other policy levers as well. So thank you very much from CII. We are very grateful that all of you are here today. I want to thank Pamposh and the team from Adelphi also, who have worked very hard to make this possible. Thank you very much. So there is a tea break now, so we will have a tea break, after which we will start the technical sessions. Thank you very much.
Right on stage, Mr. Philip Owen, Head of Unit A2 Climate Finance Mainstreaming Montreal Protocol, Directorate General for Climate Action, European Commission. Shri M.K. Singh, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India. Professor R.S. Agarwal, former Dean, Industrial Research and Development, Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. Professor M.P. Maya, Professor, Refrigeration and Air Conditioning Laboratory, Indian Institute of Technology, Chennai. Ms. Nehmat Kaur, Consultant, Natural Resource Defense Council. And Ms. Diane Philipson, PhD, Director, Climate Change, SQ Consult, BV. And now Philip Owen and M.K. Singh will co-chair the session.
So, good morning, everybody. Thank you for that introduction. My name is Philip Owen, and I work in the European Commission in Brussels. As you heard, I'm responsible for a number of things, but the most important thing I'm responsible for, and the reason I'm here today, is that I work with the Montreal Protocol on ozone-depleting substances. And for both the international aspects, and this is why I have had the opportunity to spend many hours, as you heard, 24 hours in one go in the same room as my colleague Manoj Singh, but also I work with the domestic implementation of the ozone-depleting substances and also fluorinated gases legislation in the European Union. And I will next go and, I think, are we co-chairing this?
No, you are chairing.
I'm chairing, okay. So therefore, if I'm chairing, I can take the decisions and the responsibility. So what I will do in a second is go and actually stand over there and give a short presentation to try and set the context on what we're actually trying to achieve today. So I've just moved seats, well now I'm standing up, which makes it a lot easier to actually talk to everybody because I have a better view on the room. First of all, I would also like to extend my thanks to the Ministry and to the many staff from the Ministry here today. I see lots of familiar faces around the room, but also to all the other delegates who've come from industry associations, from various consultancies, and also from the embassies of the European Union here in Delhi, because I think this is a wonderful opportunity to share some really good news, but also to emphasize the good work which India and the European Union have been able to do together in the context of the Montreal Protocol and fluorinated gases. But I'd like to start off by taking people back a few years. This graph goes back to 1970. I hope most people in the room were born in 1970, so you can remember these sort of times. I certainly was. Although I'm getting older now, I have not been working with the Montreal Protocol for quite as long. But this year, as people are aware, we are celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Montreal Protocol. And this multilateral environmental agreement came about because of the realization in the 1970s and 1980s that CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons, were ozone depleting and creating what we now call the ozone hole, specifically in the Arctic and the Antarctic regions. And this is also having a detrimental effect on human health through skin cancers and cataracts, but also having a knock-on effect on flora and fauna. CFCs we've dealt with, phased out globally. But on the back of CFCs, we introduced the HCFCs, and the hydrochlorofluorocarbons, again, which were ozone depleting, again, with a global warming potential. And again, we realized that these were dangerous gases. And again, in Europe, we have phased out these gases in 2010, developing countries by 2020. And as we heard earlier this morning, developing countries are well on the way to tackling this problem. We heard this morning that the second HPMP for India had been recently approved. HCFCs phasing out, nearly phased out, introduced HFCs, the third group of chemicals which we're talking about. And again, these are used in refrigeration, air conditioning sectors, also quite clearly for extrusion in foams and propellants. So here we are, moving from one family of gases to another. However, we also realized from a climate point of view that HCFCs, HFCs, not only HCFCs ozone depleting, but they both have a high global warming potential and also are climate gases. And in the European Union, we did some work a few years ago. This graph dates from 2011, when we came up with how we could actually tackle a mid-century strategy, how we could deal with global warming, how we should deal with these gases over the next 40 years. And quite clear from this, the power sector, the residential sector are most important, also industry, but also transport and agriculture also have their role to play. And that blue bar at the bottom, non-CO2 other sectors, is largely HFCs. And again, we realized that we had to tackle these gases in the appropriate way in order to meet our climate ambitions and to get down to an 80% reduction in 2050, which was our talk at the time. Clearly, it's also influenced the development of the EU's NDC for Paris, but here we were actually doing some mid-century strategy work, as it might